Dallas loses last night. I don't know if that makes people feel any better, but makes the game more interesting at least. The football season stays alive for another season. We'll see Eli Manning most likely back in Philly. That's usually gone well for Eagle fans. Sal Paolantonio, and of course Sal's appearance is brought to you by Dunkin'. This season, the Eagles pregame starts at Dunkin'. DD Perks members score a $1 medium hot or iced coffee on Eagle game day, so head to Dunkin' for your kick before kickoff. Sal, we've got, I think the Dunkin' is more exciting than this Eagle season so far. It has not gone well, but the Cowboys have kept this thing interesting. Do you think that having Eli Manning play for the Giants changes anything, or is this Giants team so bad?
I think this Giants team is so bad. I guess it gets him a little bit of a psychological lift. Daniel Jones was just turning the ball over at a historic rate. So alarmingly easy to get turnovers from that young quarterback. And maybe just the fact that Eli doesn't turn the ball over gives them a better chance to win than if Daniel Jones was playing quarterback.
All right, so we've seen this Eagle team lose to Miami. They've lost 3 straight. There's no evidence to suggest that this team is about to turn things around and that we should feel good, unless you've got something to add to that to suggest that something is about to be different.
Well, first and foremost, I've been covering the team since 1993. I've been covering the Philadelphia Eagles, Mike, since 1993. And this is definitely a top 3 loss that I've ever seen. It was as bad as anything I've ever witnessed, going back to losing the NFC Championship game in the final game at Veterans Stadium when they lost to the Tampa Bay Bucks, a game they absolutely should have won and was an absolute disaster and so demoralizing to the Philadelphia Eagles fan base. It's right up there with that one. So that's a pretty big loss. Now, there are 17 teams in the NFL with a better record than the Eagles. 17. This is a team that has a $100 million quarterback, one of the largest payrolls in the NFL, and they have the same record as the Tampa Bay Bucks right now. So they're in the bottom half of the league, and it's just unconscionable, and something drastic has to change. And, I think step in the right direction. Doug Peterson put the team in full pads yesterday in practice. I don't know what the heck took him so long. Should have happened 2 weeks ago. But as Lane Johnson said, you can't go back to regularly scheduled programming after you lose to the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
I thought that was a pretty good line.
That's a good one. Sal, do you feel they cut Mac Hollins? You think there's any disconnect happening between coaching staff and front office?
Do not. I know Doug Peterson and Howie Roseman real well. I know that they talk to one another all the time. I do not think that there is any kind of disconnect. I think both of these guys have failed to help this team this year. Now, obviously, they were a little handicapped because they dumped a lot of money into their quarterback. And so I'm sure that probably influenced what they did in the Jalen Ramsey situation and some other players. But I'm at a loss to find out why Jordan Howard has a stinger that keeps him out for multiple weeks. Things like that.
Yeah.
And I'm at a loss as to why Jim Schwartz didn't change things defensively to give them a better opportunity to cover a guy like Devontae Parker. And I'm at a loss to find out why Carson Wentz keeps making the same mistakes over and over again. So those are 3 basic things that, in my view, I just look at and say, okay, personnel, coaching, and then performance of players. So that's really the trifecta right there, right, Mike? It's the front office, it's the coaching staff, and it's your star player all underperforming.
Sal, do you have any concern that if the Eagles win this god-awful division, that whatever mindset maybe the coaching staff or front office should be about the changes that need to be made going into next year would be altered by a playoff run?
It's a good question, Jeff. It's sort of like one of those Stargate things. You got to go through Stargate first to find out what's on the other side.
That's a great answer. You're right.
The space-time continuum does not include right now me thinking that the Eagles are going to go to the playoffs. But if they do go to the playoffs, and they'll have a home playoff game because, right, they won the division in order to get in.
Right.
Playoff game. They'll probably be favored in that home playoff game, although they weren't when they won the Super Bowl, if you remember. They were not favored against Atlanta, and they were not favored against the Vikings. But they might be favored in this one. But the bottom line is you can always win a home playoff game and then go on the road, and then, you have to ask yourself honest questions about what you really accomplished.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem, Sal. In we were talking about that 7-9 Seahawks team. They lost 3 out of 4 and made the playoffs, and then won a playoff game 41-36. They beat the defending Super Bowl champions. But I don't know what you accomplished by doing that, other than, all right, we gave our fans an extra week or two, but that team was miserable. They lost 3 out of 4 down the stretch, and they got blasted in 3 of those games. So it's so hard to take what we see from week to week and associate that with the big picture, Yeah,
it's always little picture, big picture, Mike. We play that on the show all the time. So getting back to Jeff's question, which is an excellent one. In other words, are you chasing ghosts, even if you win a playoff game? Or are you willing to see what's real and what's not real? And you always have to do that. You do that in any profession. You do that in any business. Are the results really the results, or are they the result of some kind of luck? Or are they a result of somebody else's misfortune that we wound up getting in the spot that we got? Now, sometimes you can take a wild card spot and you can win a World Series like the Nationals proved. Another team's misfortune wound up being your treasure. But in this particular case, in 2020, if the Eagles don't make playoffs in 2019, in 2020, everything is on the table. All things are on the table. You would agree with that, correct?
I would have to think so. I mean, other than the head coach, I think anything else from that down and the GM, yeah.
No. I'm saying everything.
I think you're including the coach.
I'm saying everything is on the table in 2020 if you don't make the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yes, everybody, is on the hot seat. Everything's on the table. I get what you're saying, yes.
No question, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, listen, and you could even go so far as to say you have to ask major questions about whether Carson Wentz is your quarterback.
Yes.
You gave him 1 year under $100 million, and he seriously underperformed and looked bad doing it. So if they don't make the playoffs in 2019, everybody's on the hot seat. Everybody.
I think that could be fair, definitely. And by the way, Carson Wentz would be, 28 years old and never played in a playoff game yet.
And remember, the way that contract is structured, it can be gotten out of a little bit earlier than you might think without killing them the way some other quarterback contracts are. So I agree with what Sal's saying.
All right, Sal Paolantonio.
Yeah, I think, Mike, and Jeff, I think the performance of dual threat quarterbacks as opposed to pocket passers is really opening up some eyes. I think the days of getting guys like Jimmy Garoppolo, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, who just drop back and don't have the threat to run and evacuate the pocket, that's gone. Because the NFL has made it safe for dual threat quarterbacks to operate, quarterbacks are going to look more like Josh Allen, more like Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, than they are Aaron Rodgers, Jimmy Garoppolo. Even look at the Minnesota Vikings. What is the signature move of what they do? They move Kirk Cousins out of the pocket. Now, he doesn't take off and run, but he's very mobile. He really is. And that really helps everything that they do. Look at the play-action rollout that they have designed for Ryan Tannehill. 5-1 as a starter. Ryan Tannehill could always move despite the knee injuries he's had. So I think that's so important. If you have a quarterback who can move and is accurate with the football, that's going to be the coin of the realm as the NFL goes forward into its second century.
Well, you will see two of those guys this weekend. Ravens, Bill, yes. Sal Pal on the sideline, in what we're going to find out a lot about these Bills.
I want to find a lot about these Ravens, Mike. I would like to invite people to go back to the NFC Championship game in Philadelphia in 2004. Jim Johnson, the late, great Jim Johnson, was the defensive coordinator of the Eagles. Michael Vick was at the height of his powers. Falcons at Eagles. They terrorized Michael Vick in that game. Held him to 86 yards rushing. Sacked him 4 times. Eagles won easily. How did they do it? Mosh rush. They had the defensive linemen stand up out of their stances, look around, and make sure they could identify where Vic was, identify the evacuation routes, keep him in the pocket. Who is the number one protege of Jim Johnson? Sean McDermott, the head coach of the Buffalo Bills. I guarantee you that's the way the Bills will play against Lamar Jackson on Sunday. Guarantee it.
Should be a good one. Looking forward to it. That's Greg Roman, by the way, a local guy down here. I actually had a little text exchange.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like you, Sal. I had a little text exchange with Greg Roman this week.
Oh, man, I love Greg Roman. Boy, what he's done is unbelievable.
Yeah.
He's going to get a head coaching look.
I believe
Absolutely.
You're right.
I think all he's got to do is get on the Garden State Parkway and go up to Cranford and get on exit 11 to the Turnpike and get off at exit 16W. Oh, you think I'm laughing? You think I'm kidding?
No, that sounds probably like a good spot.
Daniel Jones is a little bit of a mobile quarterback.
There you go. And there's a good running back there, too, so that would be a nice starting point.
They don't look at Greg Roman. There's something wrong up there at MetLife.
Well, maybe we don't want that here in the NFC East. Don't give him any ideas, Sal Pal. Sal Pal Friday here on the Sports Bash. When the Eagles win, you win. At Dunkin', DD Perks members score a $1 medium hot or iced coffee. The day after every Eagles win, that would be on Tuesday, you would get your Eagles Dunkin'. Eagles fans, run on Dunkin'. Sal Pal Fridays, run on Dunkin'. All right, Sal, enjoy the game.
Okay, guys. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely.
See you, Sal.
Sal Pal, like all guests, appear to be the Boardwalk Honda Hotline.